Welcome back to Believers IAS Academy, and in this today's topic of the day discussion, we will be discussing about the accidental deaths and suicide rates in India with respect to the 2023 report. Speaking of the context, it was released by the NCRB, which is the National Crime Records Bureau, which usually releases this data, and this time it is on the accidental deaths and suicides in India for the 2022 and 2023, which represents the condition of the crime rates in India, mostly pertaining to the accidental deaths and suicides. What are the key highlights? Now, talking about it, you have certain data which are very important, and of course all these data are not important to remember for the examination, especially concerning prelims, because UPSC do not per se ask or worry about the minute intricate data, but the trend is very important, or let's say which amongst the reasons which are the reasons for the major causes of the accidental deaths. The trend is very important for your mains examination, because this pretty much helps you write a better answer, and also will be very valuable in terms of how you showcase or let's say how you support certain judgments. Correct? So that is also one of the important things. So let's try and ascertain these data. So with respect to total accidental deaths in India, it is very important to remember that we have seen an increase of 1% from 2023, and currently it stands at 4,44,104 cases of total accident deaths. And talking about the major causes, the highest reason is because of the accidents which take place in the traffic, followed by sudden deaths, which is 14.3%, and also due to drowning. Now, talking about the road accidents alone, there are about 4,64,029 cases, and of which fatalities, if we have to talk about how the fatalities with respect to the accidents, we have seen an increase of 0.16%, and that is somewhere about 1,73,876. And this is also very important, the high risk locations. One is the near residential areas with the highest of 30.2%, followed by the educational institutions. So basically all these data proves very important, especially when you are writing an answer concerning the development prospect of the government as to what should be the thing that they have to keep in mind, especially when they have to improve or release or transfer funds with respect to the development of residential areas and educational institutions, concerning the risk associated with this area, right? And yeah, moving on, in terms of natural forces, like with respect to natural forces, the lightning is also one of the highest reason why majority of the people are currently suffering, of which 39.7% people have died because of the lightning. Then the heat and sunstroke, which is 12.5%, right? Major causes of natural accidental deaths. And for talking about the railway accidents, the cases have been 24,678, of which 21,803 deaths have been found. That is also very concerning. And in terms of urban concentration, mega cities have been at the highest, which shows a high rate of 41.0% than the national average, which is 31.9%. And what are the top contributing states with respect to traffic deaths? The first is Maharashtra, followed by Uttar Pradesh, third is Madhya Pradesh, and followed by the Tamil Nadu. And what is the unique pattern that we have seen? That in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Jharkhand, Punjab, Bihar, and UP, these deaths have actually exceeded the number of injuries also, right? Means the number of injured persons are less as compared to the deaths, right? So this is also one of the unique patterns. Of course, not important for the examination, but for the exam point of view, you just keep in mind about these states, and also a few of the important data with respect to the natural deaths due to lightning, heat stroke, major the causes for natural deaths. And also you have to keep in mind a few of the areas like high risk locations, and also the total accident deaths. If these data are very much ingrained within you, it would be very helpful for your mains examination. So now, what are the causes of the road deaths? One is overspeeding, right? and in fact 61.4% of people have been have died because of the overspeeding reasons. Then another reason is dangerous and careless driving, 23.7%. Poor weather conditions, 2.1%. Right? Please don't mind the typing error here, the typo. Okay. Then drunken driving, it's 1.7%. Animal crossing, 2.8%. So now if you see the measures that the government takes, or the executive, or let's say the police authority takes, if you see majority of the police regulations, or let's say police trying to curb individuals for all of these reasons, major you can see that police mostly try and curb the people who get caught under drunken driving, right? But if you see, drunken driving has very less contribution in terms of the major causes on the roads, and the major reason is due to overspeeding, dangerous and careless driving, poor weather, and then animal crossing. But this is the irony of the country like India, where police, who's supposed to make sure that the rest of the things is also not contributing to road deaths, but mostly utilize all its energy and all its forces to only curb or see people who are drinking and driving, right? Now don't think with the statement that something personal is going on, or I was caught drinking, and all of those things. But this is the stark reality of the country, where this is what we see every time, because this is the most let's say probable, or let's say I think this is the most certain way how you can end up catching a person, making sure that he pays a fine, or in the most cases bribe, right? So this is the only way, right? Overspeeding, yes, it's possible, but it requires a lot of other infrastructural developments, or let's say technical advantages or advances in the police department, right? So that is also very important. And dangerous and careless driving, of course, this is very ambiguous. The definition itself is very ambiguous. What do you consider as danger and careless driving, right? So hence, that is what primary causes of road deaths. The highest is due to overspeeding and dangerous and careless driving, but the utmost attention is given to drunken driving, and in fact animal crossing is also not at all considered. So this is also very important for the police or the executive to take care of the bureaucracy. Moving forward, what are the major causes? The grouped analysis. One is human related causes, which is overspeeding, reckless driving dominate the accident deaths, which we saw. 85% plus combined share is what is from the overspeeding and reckless driving. Second is lack of road discipline, poor awareness of traffic rules, and weak enforcement contribute for the deaths. And this is pretty much true pertaining to India, right? And also the drunken driving and the fatigue among commercial drivers, because consider the seasons like Diwali, or let's say even Dasara, the drivers, especially even for the public transport or even the private transport, are supposed to work or make sure that they cover the route, let's say from whatever place, point A to point B, on a regular route, or on a normal day, probably it takes 8 hours, right? And for this particular driver, in order to complete his route from A to B, if it is 8 hours, let's say this is the only shift he has for that particular day. And let's say on a hypothetical Dasara night, let's say because of the traffic, the distance which it actually takes 8 hours probably is going to take him 16, or let's say even 12 to 14 hours to complete the same distance because of the traffic. And now the person is already fatigued due to this 8 hour of journey, and now again he has to stay in the traffic and again drive and complete his 14-hour shift because of the traffic. And now no relaxation is given for the next day, right? No compensation is given in terms of holiday, or let's say probably another rest is given to that particular driver, but he has to, or he is forced to go for the same trip or the same routine without even giving a holiday or rest, right? So of course this is also one of the important reasons, fatigue among the commercial drivers. In fact, this is one of the highly contributing reason for the accidents in the road. And talking about the structural and environmental causes, poor road engineering, inadequate signage, absence of pedestrian crossings, poor weather and visibility. This is pretty natural and you cannot do much about it. Only thing is you need to be cautious when driving in these kind of conditions. Animal crossings, this is also very highly unexpected, right? You never know when a dog crosses, or probably when a wild animal you get to see on the road when doing. But provided few roads where animal crossing is most probable, so it is very likely that you will encounter one or two. So hence, always to ensure that the speed is less and you don't overspeed in these kind of areas. Climate related causes like lightning, heat stroke, increasing due to changing climatic patterns, also one of the reason why the road deaths are common. Now, what is the way forward? Very simple, very self-explanatory. Strict enforcement of road safety laws and speed limits. Engineering solutions where it can have or bring reforms to build more safer routes and to address lightning and even pedestrian zones, right? And we can take examples from foreign countries as to how things are being managed and how technology has been integrated to ensure that all of these three things are catered well. Then third one is the mandatory driving training and also compulsory driving testing is also very important. Training doesn't mean that the driver is fully capable of taking his tour further, but it is also important to make sure the testing or giving the license to that particular driver happens without having any, or let's say, uncorrupted, right? The license issuance has to be genuine. In fact, even if the drivers, many of the commercial drivers even today, getting a commercial license is very easy provided they know how to use money, right? So that is also very important thing. Now, school awareness drives, so this is also important, and emergency response systems also has to be implemented, like for example 112 that we have in India. Now integrate NDMA and Ministry of Road and Transport, that is also important, and efforts under a national accidental reduction mission, right? And also promote public transport and reduce private vehicle congestion. In fact, Karnataka government is also trying to bring something called as congestion tax, which limits all those vehicles, especially four wheelers, who are only driving single handedly, or let's say a four wheeler which can actually carry 1 2 3 4 or even more than 4. If there is only one person driving this car, right, obviously this particular car will be taxed, right? So this is also one of the measure that Karnataka government has brought up, or is planning to bring up, so in order to promote public transport. So more initiatives like this also has to be taken care. So now at the end, let's solve one prelims question. According to the accidental deaths and suicides in India 2023 report, which of the following statements are correct? Road traffic accidents accounted for more than 40% of total accident deaths. Lightning was a leading cause of deaths due to natural forces. The rate of accidental deaths in cities was lower than the national average. Select the correct answer. Right? Please use the comment section, leave your answers below. Anyway, that's all for this particular video. Signing off, this is Madan Gopal. Have a beautiful day.